Hey everyone, thank you so much for being here. The first thing I want to say is if you have children in the room right now, please either get them engaged in another activity elsewhere or watch this another time. Because I am going to be as blunt as I can be without getting censored. If my channel disappears, I have another channel down below. Look in the description of my videos to find the other channel. Um, okay. So I know a lot more people are waking up pretty rapidly now, I feel. And things have definitely become safer for people like me to share truths because we're seeing more and more that we have had the victory. So I'm going to do sort of a recap of some things that at this point you should probably know in terms of the way our world is operating and some things that are going on in our world. And some of the things I'm about to say may seem absolutely preposterous, but that's only because you've been brainwashed for a very long time and you just don't know what's going on. So I welcome you to open your mind and to consider this as possible. If you think this is preposterous or something like that, anything that I say, then just don't smack a label on it. Don't throw it in the waste paper bin and don't stop watching the video. Just set that subject aside as I believe this is nonsense. You could even like take a little notepad and put nonsense and truth, make two little categories or something. And the things you think are preposterous, you're not willing to take a look at this time, but you're going to write it down over here and set it aside. That way you can kind of compartmentalize the things you believe are possible in truth, write it in another column. And I welcome everyone to watch this video for truth of what's happening right now. And if you want to get fully, completely caught up, you'll go there and you'll watch that series as quickly as possible because this is about to become common knowledge in our world everywhere. Everybody is going to know this, and you're going to have the information first. If you have an open enough mind and a Kleenex box to go watch that. But I do advise if you go watch that, it's a documentary, and there are many, many, many parts, like 13 to 15, I think, something like that. Start with part one, go all the way through. When I did it, I watched the 4-hour series. And just because I just wanted to get it over with and learn what I could. There are more on top of that first video, I guess, that have gone out, but watch it however you want to watch it. But I do also want to warn you, number one, stay present when you watch it so you can stay detached. Watch yourself watching the video. If you've been practicing presence, which maybe some of you have not, but now it's time to start doing that because it's very, very vitally important. You start leaning on your intuition, learning about energy work, and being able to be present in the moment, okay? So see yourself from a detached perspective, like, oh, isn't this interesting that I'm watching this documentary? It's going to help transform. If you want to look further into this, there's quantum mechanics involved, quantum physics involved with being the observer. And there is something called the double slit experiment on YouTube that you could look up that explain the dynamics of this, but you want to be the observer of you watching the video. It'll help you stay detached and help you not freak out and not to get too much in your head about it. So that's what I would advise. And it essentially transforms everything that you're watching. It's gonna help us as a world. It's gonna help us transcend all of it if you can be in that observer standpoint. So when I first watched this movie, the first thing that I noticed and that kind of raised an eyebrow, I guess, is that they were talking about in the first, see, I'm already like, what do I talk about? What do I know? What do I don't? Um, there was a part that talked about children in a place that was related to pizza. and a doorway, if you know what I mean. Those who are in the know exactly what I'm saying. I went to look it up on Google. I didn't know that there's a browser called DuckDuckGo. I'm not sure of this, but it used to be known as the one that would allow you to actually search for truth. But I think that has been also tainted. But anyway, just take everything with a grain of salt right now, because a lot of this is moving, molding, and shaping as we go along, and we're going into new times. So back in the day, I only knew about like Google and all those. So I went to Google and I put in the name of the place that had the children and the pizza and the doorway. And it said, oh, this has been debunked. This is all, just a bunch of nonsense and conspiracy theorists and stuff, making it up and all this. And for a minute, I was like set at ease. I was like, oh, and then I thought, wow, but that documentary though had a lot of really that was some vivid imagery. That was some like who would even make something like that up? And then and I just remembered some of the graphics and some of the images, and I thought that's going on somewhere. Even if it's not at that place, that's going on somewhere for there to be those pictures. So they did a good job in the documentary giving you pictures that would stick to where you would be like, I don't think I can dismiss this. So I went back to the video and continued to watch it. And I'm so glad that I did, because it really opened my eyes. And of course, I realized that a lot of the things that are run and our social networks, our social media, TV, movies, search engines, everything that drives everything that we do on a regular basis is all owned by some very corrupt people, and corrupt is putting it very mildly. They're basically evil, and they have infiltrated our government. These evil people have infiltrated our government. Many of them Nazis and Masons have snuck into our government and taken it over. Our government is actually a corporation. If you look up your city, go take the time to do this, to see, because the more proof and evidence you can gather as you go along in this talk, the more confident you'll feel, because we have been shamed. People who know the truth have been shamed for a long time with smacking that label on things. So go to Dun and Bradstreet, which is DN, where is it? I wrote it down. DNB, I think. Dun and Bradstreet. DN, the capital N like Nancy, DNB like Brad.com. Look up your city. Look up what the city of blank, and then put in the address. Look it up however you need to. I did it with the city that I'm in, and I had to look it up. I had to really be like a bloodhound and search it down, because it was called something totally different. It had the name of the city in it and all the people that were employed by the city and everything, but it didn't have, it was difficult to find. Probably took me a good 20 to 30 minutes searching for it until I finally went, there it is. Find your city in there. You'll see that it's a corporation. It's not a government. It's a for-profit corporation. So I'm going to just, because I tend to jump around and get, on a tangent and get distracted, jumping from place to place. So I'm just going to read off of what I have written down as some of the things you guys should know. Okay. If I trail off and do that, then that's fine. I'll just come back to my sheet, and I'm going to try to check it off when I've gotten, when I've talked about it. Okay. Why is our world so messed up? Well, it's worse than corruption. Draconians are extraterrestrials. They're ETs. Yes, they do exist. Draconian Nazis infiltrated every government. So at the basis of everything, it's a spiritual war that's going on. So you have evil beings, and then you have, angels and all those higher beings, the ETs that are here to help us, the Pleiadians, Arcturians. They're, they're fighting over, they've been fighting over us for a while. In fact, that's what the Old Testament is in the Bible. I'll get that to in a minute. This is how we jump around. All right. Governments or corporations you could look up on Dun & Bradstreet, dnb.com. Try to find your city and the address of your city hall. You may have to search hard for their list for how they listed their name, but you'll find it. They feed off of Loosh, like in monstersinc.com. So I use this example a lot with Monsters Inc. But it's worse than that. They when the bad people or the bad beings the bad beings influence human beings, they even the demons will take and possess people to do all of this. But basically they take our children, so our children do not come up missing. It's not this thing of like jealous single mothers like steal people's children. I'm sure that's happened, but a lot of movies that talk about that are just, again, we're living in the Truman Show, you guys. They've shown us those movies and TV so that we automatically think when children go missing, it's just some jealous mom or whatever. What it is your children have been being stolen. This is in every country, everywhere, all around the world. The children have been stolen to be put into sex factories. They've been sex trafficked. Yes, for sex. Children, little babies, little tiny baby. I hate to say that, but it's true. And you guys need to know about it. They've been taking these children, they've been torturing them, and they've been making them have sex up to at least 30 times a day at like $10,000 a pop. More than that. I just heard more than that even. Imagine a poor little child having to go through being raped 30 times a day, and then they're thrown away, or their organs are used to put in things that they call natural flavoring in our food. They're making us be cannibals and eat our children that are raped and killed. Then they take the blood from the children, and it's full of adrenaline. And when they drink this blood, it makes them very young, and all their wrinkles go away, and they look incredible. Celebrities have done this for many years. They have had parties selecting children and going off and having sex with them, or doing other despicable, disgusting stuff. Which is why celebrities for so long have been trying to make evil a cool thing. Like everything is sick, it's like they made sick out to be like a cool thing. But it's actually sick. It's disgusting. It's like what they do. It's disgusting when you find out behind the scenes how they've been operating. And it's a big club, and that's why they only date each other. Not that they're better than you. It's that they all do this despicable stuff behind the scenes. That's just a tiny little hair on what they do behind the scenes. And it's their culture. It's what they do. It's an evil culture. It's satanic, or Luciferian. I mean, they have many, many gods they worship. And I'm not even going to mention any of their names. Anyway, so they feed off what's called loosh. That's negative energy, fearful energy. So just like they showed us in Monsters Inc., they need to show us in TV, and they kind of have to put it in our face in a way. It's one of the rules of the universe or whatever, is they can do things to us, and they can do it plainly in front of us as long as they let us know somehow. That's what they have movies for, is to show us the stuff that they're planning to do to us, or that they are doing to us, or that they will do to us, that kind of thing. So Monsters Inc. was showing us that you can get energy through fear and all of that, or at the end of the movie, you can see how you can actually generate energy from laughter and happiness and silliness and all the things that I try to cultivate on this channel. So we are coming to those times. Obviously, God's way would be the laughter and the silliness and the tickles and things like that are pleasant and happy. So celebrities have attempted to make evil cool because they work for Satan for their fame and success. They virtually sign on the dotted line and give their lives over to Satan to be that famous. Not all people who are actors or actresses, who've played minor roles or whatever. I try not to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Okay, there still are good people in the music industry and in the I was going to say the satanic industry, but in the the movies and TV and all that kind of stuff. That's why they have the Academy Awards and all that stuff, is to try to lift them up, like we should look up to them somehow. So all of that, there are good people that are in it, or maybe even haven't been propositioned yet to join the club, or maybe they've resisted or pushed against it and made look crazy. Of course, Mel Gibson and all those guys. Is it Mel Gibson? Yeah. But they're, so that's what's going on there. Celebrities are pedophiles and they drink children's blood on a regular basis, or I think they can inject it as well. In fact, EpiPens, that's called, I don't want to say the word, but that's what that is. It's got that in it. It revives you and gives you life. Sorry. Okay. A lot of I'm so sorry to have to tell you this, but I'd so much rather you hear it from me, than be shocked when you find out later. Okay. So evil secret societies have conspired to manipulate the masses to keep us under control and in fear of bullies and tyrants. That's why you've got all these sociopaths and psychopaths as bosses. A lot of them have been part of this infiltration. They're assholes to you for a reason. They want to be assholes. They know they're assholes, and they're trying to beat everybody down and treat them so much like crap that they'll take anything, that you'll just kowtow to everything. They've made people pleasers out of everybody in society, pretty much. All right. And that was done on purpose. JFK was telling people the truth, so they coined the phrase conspiracy theorist back in his day to throw people off the scent. So if you've been calling people a conspiracy theorist, you better learn pretty quick that those are actually truth sayers. Those are people who are willing to put themselves out there and look crazy to tell the truth of what's actually going on. Some people have taken the truth pretty far and have gotten so afraid of what's going on that they're hiding in bunkers and hills, and they're not associating with anybody else in the world. And they have guns pointed in every direction or grenades or whatever. And they're just like being totally fearful, running for the hills. That I wouldn't advise that for anybody. I'm going to get into what I would suggest everybody do here. Okay. So those are people who've taken it so far. There's always going to be people who take things too far. Okay. But the people who are open-minded enough to ponder, maybe chemtrails are real. Maybe they are really happening. That's something I would just welcome you to always say, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. That's all you have to say. You don't have to say, oh, that's a conspiracy theorist, because that's going to put you in a state of denial and it's going to be much harder for you, a much more bumpy road going forward if you can't at least have a little tiny bit of openness in there. Because when you resist something, it's just like having a car with no buffer, what do you call it? I don't know. It'd be just a really hard ride, real hard ride. So you don't want to try to keep an open mind as much as possible. Okay. So wars were not real. They were just money-making scams. So they make stuff up on the news all the time. I would never recommend watching the real news. I mean, what they call the real news, what everybody refers to as the news, social media. I wouldn't recommend watching that. There are other channels like BitChute, Rumble. YouTube has some channels that they've allowed because these other people have come into power now, which I'll talk about in a minute too. But there are other ways to get your actual news, and I will I'm going to share with you something actually as an example of this. So I'm going to mark this so I know to come back to this. Okay. So in the news, we have really incredible breaking news going on right now. Soudani from Iraq has made a visit to the United States, and he's left. He's left the country, but before he left, there were rumors that he left very angry. He left abruptly and went back to his country, and he was very angry at a bombing that went on in Iran. And everybody was like, oh my gosh, like he was so happy, and he was talking about some really great things, and then boom, that happens, and he takes off, and he's angry or whatever. Well, I felt into it, and I was like, I don't think it's true. I don't feel like it's true. Most of the things that you hear out there, you guys, are part of we're in a movie, we're in a play, just like Truman Show. Like I said, watch the Truman Show if you haven't, because they're saying everything and doing everything on purpose out there for the most part. Okay. So somebody had somebody call into them that talks to people on a regular basis, like I do, from all over the world. And this person said to them, this is a person who is for the most part living in that part of the world. They come here sometimes, but they go back and forth like a lot, so they know what's going on everywhere. Hey, I know you follow the RV stuff. It stands for re-valuation of the currencies all over the world, which I'll talk about in just a minute. Okay. So I know you follow the RV stuff, but have you been watching what's going on in Iran? Then he proceeded to share that there are no bombings taking place in Iran, and that is very much propaganda. He was laughing, saying things moved during war based on fear, and laughed at his countrymen believe they are using war and rumors of war to open the doors for the reset, the global reset, the financial reset that I'm going to talk about in a minute. He just kept saying it's all fake. I can't believe our own governments are doing this to scare people in the direction they want us to move in. Anyway, just interesting to hear from someone who literally had boots on the ground last week in his country. He was extremely excited. His family was extremely excited. He said, it looks like it's really close, everyone. And is holding his breath for this weekend. So somebody else said, I agree. After an Iran attack was recently reported against Israel, my friend near Tel Aviv said that reality on the ground was much different than what they were showing. It was reported that Ben Gurion Airport was hit, and that was 100% fake. Nothing is as it seems. I even saw someone posting a video of bombs hitting Iraq, and in the whole video, there were some sound effects, but there was no bombing actually going on in the video. Who in the heck will believe that there are bombs being dropped and see a video with no bombs? It's completely insane. It makes me think that people believe headlines, and I completely miss what's right in front of their own eyes. So we've been deceived like this for a very long time, guys. Throughout history, they've created problems, then provided the solutions that were the actual objective. So that's how they manipulated us for a really long time. Even with that sickness. Oh, be scared of the sickness out there, and just terrified everybody. So they would run and get the very thing that was going to poison and kill them, essentially. It wasn't the sickness that was killing people. So sorry if I'm the first to say that as well. But it's true. It's what was happening to them in the hospitals, and what was happening to them from the thing that was being put in them that was killing people. So we're in a mix of the Truman Show and Monsters, Inc. Mainstream media and search engines are all saying what they're told to by these, by this Satanists, basically, that are at the top. So many newscasters and famous people are clones or wearing masks. If you look that up on Telegram, start looking around on Telegram or Rumble or BitChute, some of these other places, you'll see all kinds of proof of it. There's so many photographs. You could probably even find it on YouTube. Just say people wearing fake masks, or I don't know, celebrities wearing fake masks, or you've probably seen through the years presidents and royalty and all kinds of things where you're just like, they don't look at all like they looked a little bit. They don't even look like the same person. It's because they're not that person. So yeah, many people are clones or wearing masks. Some people who've been killed for their crimes have actors in their place now to keep a feeling of consistency for the people, so it's not too shocking for them as they wake up to all of this. So the really, 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 really bad people like Soros and like just some really horrible people who have done all of that to the children and then some, and tortured and threatened people and all this stuff that they did, I'm pretty sure most of them, like almost all of them, all of them, okay, all of them, the really, really, really bad ones have all been killed behind the scenes, and they've been videotaped being killed so that we would have the proof that they are indeed gone. Epstein would be one of those. And it's going to be revealed to us when the truth comes out to the general public, which is going to happen hopefully very, very, very soon, I think. Okay. There's also a lot of CGI that looks very real. So you guys have probably seen, or you can look up CGI, computer generated imagery. Just check it out. Just go to YouTube. YouTube would probably, they're okay talking about computer generated imagery. That's not something that they're going to censor necessarily. Some of it, if it gets too close to home, to where you'd figure something out, then you'd probably want to look for it in Rumble. Anyway, look up everything in Rumble, because then you're getting some straight up stuff. Anyway, so they use that to scare us. Okay, so QAnon. The bad guys have made QAnon look really bad. I don't know all that they're saying, but they're trying to make them out to be some kind of a cult or some kind of crazy thing. QAnon is just a way that they have kept us like coming up to this great awakening time. They started to plant little seeds to people to help them to, when I say they, it's a group of people who are in the know about what's going on, and it includes extraterrestrials, I believe, or some higher beings that are either feeding humans with information through whatever means, but they're all here to help humanity and to like give them little bits and pieces, kind of coded information that makes people start thinking. Who does own that corporation? Who is the one who's in charge of our media? Who is, they've planted little seeds to people without giving them too much information, and they've given them dates and just things to start looking into that are helping with the awakening. So that's what they are doing. There's nothing harmful about them. They're very highly intelligent people or beings that are in the know behind the scenes. Time travel is a very real thing. And these QAnons, they know a lot of different timelines that have played out, and they're letting us know the ones that are prevalent markers that we need to know about that can help. It's gained people's confidence in it as it's gone along. And I don't believe they've had a Q post for quite a while, I think. Um, so and the white hats are in the Alliance. They're also called white hats in the Alliance. Well, the white hats in the Alliance are actually I think they're made up of mostly military. We, by the way, are in martial law currently. We have been for many years. We just didn't know it. We actually don't have a president. There is no president, but we do have a fake president out there stumbling around. And then we also have somebody who, the other person who used to be president, has been behind the scenes helping the White Hats in the Alliance to defeat the C letter word that was used in the very beginning of this video. This word. So that's why they've been against him and making him look really bad. There's actually a book called Hollywood Propaganda that you can read that book if you want to, but it shows how TV and movies and everything have been trying to depict the guy behind the scenes so that we, would be led by the Satanists instead. So if you've believed that guy was a bad guy, the guy whose name starts with a capital T, if you've believed he's a really horrible person, you got duped. You fell for the lies. You fell for their propaganda. I'm not saying the guy's great. I'm not following any leader in terms of like, I'm not following anybody because I know how tricky and manipulative it all is. And although I think it's incredible what they've done, and I do support him in what he's done to abolish the C letter. And it's we're in very, very inspiring times, you guys. It's absolutely incredible. I'm just saying, I don't think that we should idolize anybody, and we shouldn't be following anybody off a cliff. You know what I mean? We've wisened up through these times. Okay. So and there are ETs watching this whole thing that are not going to allow any kind of nuclear war or anything like that to actually truly happen. They'll let the lies happen because it's part of our waking up, but they're not going to let us destroy ourselves because that would affect them. So there are ETs that are protecting us in a major way right now. So be looking up to the skies and saying, thank you so much, my friends. And I do have a great meditation video. Please look up that galactic meditation that I did like a couple months ago. It is profoundly helpful. Like if you tap into that, you're gonna, make friends with our neighbors and start a connection going because we all need to be connected to them right now. They're looking out for us. Okay, I'm throwing this in there just because it's part of the awakening. Okay, fairies and other mystical creatures are actually real. Okay. We'll be able to see them once they feel more safe to show themselves. Now, I made a video years ago of how my cat could see fairies. It was a cat that I used to have, not the one I have now, but he could see fairies, and I would videotape him watching the fairies and chirping at them and things like that. So it was really cool. So I've been I have seen some evidence where I'm like, oh, that could be a fairy or that kind of thing. I have a lot of confidence I already had lots of confidence in the existence of fairies for many years. But I had a particular friend of mine where just in these last few weeks as we've been just we we have we get together and we talk on Zoom, and I could see in the background of her videos these fairies. I could actually physically see them with my eyes without intuitively tuning into them or thinking I see them or whatever. They will appear as little lights or little orbs, and the way that they move is much like UFOs, actually. If you've ever seen a UFO in the sky, they appear like bloop out of nowhere, and then they go zoop, and then they go roop. It's very like sporadic. Fairies are like that. So they appear sometimes in different colors. It might be depending on what color they are. Like they could be a blue fairy, a green fairy, pink fairy, whatever it is. They appear as that color. Sometimes they go whoa, right on the screen, and then they go off. They'll come out of somebody's ear, blue, and they'll do it with what you say. Like you'll say, "Oh, isn't that just the coolest thing in the world?" And you'll see it go. I've seen it do circles around something. I've seen them like one a stream of fairies came out of her mouth once, like it was smoke, like but you could see dot 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 dot, and they were like doing this little dance thing. It was amazing. They're about the size of your nose, and I have actually seen one intentionally, carefully, slowly go by so I can see them, like right by the computer, just like this. And I could see them plain as day. I could see their wings. I could see the little dresses. I could see their little feet dangling down. They look like little insect legs, and they're just like dangling down. It's really cute. Um, and they just kind of float by and do that kind of thing. So you might think it's like a big bug or something, a big bug, like a large moth or something. So, but more transparent. So I have seen with my own eyes the proof that fairies exist. I mean, it absolutely undeniable. It cannot possibly be anything else. And so you guys should prepare yourselves that you might start seeing some of these things. And I've seen a lot of other stuff that I've talked about in past videos, so I won't go back through all of that, but yeah. Okay. Energy work is the most powerful currency, more powerful than money even. We all have the power of a nuclear bomb in our cells. Each and every one of us has that kind of power in our cells. So they've wanted us as sick as possible so we don't realize that. Sick, delusional, caught in stories of the past, caught in stories of the future even, caught in our heads, just constantly. The more we can stay up in our heads and the more we can just constantly overthink everything, the less we're going to realize our power. Ultimately, the enlightened people are the ones who've discovered who they are and know their power. So, and that is each and every one of us. That's what we're capable of. That's what we actually are, is super, super duper incredible and powerful. Just most people don't know. Okay, so yeah, TV, movies, and articles even that are written, scientific articles are totally baloney, a lot of them. They're just narcissists, psychopaths, and sociopaths projecting. So I remember back in the day when the guy pretending to be, or the actor that's pretending to be the president right now, um, I was listening to what they were saying about his opponent, and it was so crazy that everything that they were saying about the opponent with the capital letter T was actually true, what I knew to be true about the Satanists, the ones that were, getting the other guy in charge. So they do the switcheroo on everybody. So whatever they tell you on the news in media, it's the opposite of everything. Everyone is brainwashed to cover up their deceit. Schools, colleges, and certifications, all a bunch of hooey, all totally, again, like creating a thing where you have to climb the ladder and you're not good enough unless you achieve this or unless you've paid that or whatever. And did you know, oh, in the future, we're just going to be mentoring each other, just like it should be. Like, hey, neighbor kid, you want to come over and watch me do this, that, and the other thing and plant a tree? Well, sure. Okay, now you're a tree planter. Yay! And everybody figures out that that person knows all of that about that. So it's going to be a mentoring thing, not a certification thing and not a qualification thing or any of that nonsense. Okay. And a lot, I'll get to that in a minute. All right. And did you know you're a trust fund baby? Yes, you are. You are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, each and every one of you, just for being born in the United States, or actually just for being born. I don't know. It's all over the world, but it's all different and a little bit different in each place. But when you're born, your mom doesn't realize when she's signing that birth certificate that she's creating a cest QV trust for you. And here's what's been happening is they've been trading us like stocks and bonds on Wall Street for a long time. They make money off of us every time we give somebody our social security number and sign on the dotted line. We give them, I'm going to get into credit cards before I was going to, because yeah. So we have this SQV trust that we're worth so much money. We shouldn't have to pay for anything. We shouldn't have to pay for any electricity, any credit cards, any of that stuff. We should just be able to use our trust fund and buy a car when we need it, to buy a house when we need it for free, or we would buy it, but we would buy it out of our trust that they set us up with, that we have no access to unless we jump through hoops. So what happens with a credit card is they sell monopoly money, just fake money. They're like, hey, I'll give you money if you'll give me money, basically. So you sign and apply for them to pretend to give you this money. But what they do is when you go to, let's say you paid like $3,000 on your credit card for that month. They go ahead and they take all of the $3,000 that you spent and they take it out of your SESQV trust. Thank you very much. So you went out and spent the money and because you gave them the social security number and the signature, They were like, thank you very much. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to take that $3,000 out of your SQV trust. And then pretending to be you almost like, oh, I need that money to pay for these items. Thank you. And they take it out of this SQV trust in your name almost. That's what it kind of feels like right now, feeling into it. And then you say, thanks for doing that. Thanks for taking my money. And I'm going to not only pay you that money also, just so you want double, uh, I'd like to pay you more. So you give them another $3,000 and interest on top of it. And they're mean and nasty to you if you can't make your payments, and they up the interest rate. So you're essentially paying $6,000 on that $3,000, called double dipping. You're paying $6,000 and interest on top of that. And everybody's brainwashed in the company except for those at the very top. So anybody that you talk to about this at the bottom or on the phone call or whatever, they're not going to get it unless you're trying to help them wake up and you want to inform them of this. And there's a lot more you'll have to learn about it if you want to, look into it further. But that's all been a scam too. Okay. Stop paying credit cards. Stop paying credit cards, but do it with wisdom and do it right. You gotta educate yourself. And yeah, don't pay taxes either, you guys. I'm also skipping, and I know I'm skipping around a little bit, but I got my finger on where I was. So the IRS has been taken over by the US Treasury, which the US Treasury is dishing out and delving out NESARA, which is coming out soon. So the US Treasury has taken over the IRS. The IRS is not taking money from you anymore. They may be sending out letters to still threaten people to help with the awakening of people. But I heard a guy report that he even went in to have a meeting with the IRS to find out like how much he could pay, like figure it out because he owed so much. He was like, I'm just going to go meet with these guys and find out like how much that I can afford to pay or whatever. When he arrived there, they told him there is no more IRS. There is only the US Treasury, and you do not have to pay that back. People's mortgages. Yeah, we're going to get to that too. I'm sorry for skipping around. Okay. So did you know we're trust fund babies? Yes. I mean, that's me saying that. That's not what they call it, but so all those rich people you've been envious of your whole life, and all those times you've been nearly homeless, all those times you've been broke and down and all, like you've got so much money, you should have been thriving all this time, paying for yours and your parents and your friends' sicknesses and illnesses and hospitalizations, and all of that should have been all paid for by your SQE trust. Shame on them. Shame on them. All right. Yes, we're traded like stocks and bonds. We've been in martial law for years. Credit cards are a scam. Taxes don't go towards roads and upkeep and are not only not required. Taxes are absolutely not required. They are completely voluntary, but you got to know your stuff. You can't just go say that and not pay your taxes. You got to know the laws and you got to know what you're saying because you got to know how to stand in truth when you go up against anybody. But those taxes go towards sex trafficking. Why? Because the Satanists are in charge of everything. Okay? Stop paying your taxes. I know you're scared, but the more that we can all push against the system and do it peacefully and do it administratively and have the balls to do it, you're going to feel so much. This pushback is what the Great Awakening is all about. So this is the time to find your courage. This is the time to do the right thing, and you will be richly rewarded for it. So make those right decisions, and you'll be really glad you did in the days ahead. Be prepared to hear your favorite people and leaders were pure evil, but are now dead. So I think you're prepared for that. They will be exposed soon. Some aren't the gender that they seem, and some are literally robots. At least one major one I can think of, and I know some of you know who that is. So be prepared that people are not the gender that they appear to be. They could even be a robot. They could be an actor. They could be just wearing a mask. People are not as they seem. And some of your favorite people that you think are the sweetest people in the world are the most evil. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Watch that Fall of Cabal series on Rumble to get caught up. And yes, I said it, but I said it later in the video, so hopefully they don't censor me on that. Okay. Religion is to control and divide all of us. Religion is made up by Plato, pretty much. Back in the Roman times, they developed religion to keep people under control. They made it up. Plato was responsible for so much that's in the Bible. All the different parables and things like that are all made up by Plato. Paul or Saul in the New Testament was the one responsible for putting a lot of this together back in Roman times. Paul Wallace, I think his name is Paul Wallace, is the one who wrote a series of books that can help with that. But also watch the real true teachings of Jesus Christ. Like look up anything about that on Amazon, start reading that material. Because Yeshua's actual teaching was of being present in the moment and enlightening. That's the truth. Meditation, things like that. That's what he wanted for everyone. That's what his disciples practiced it with him. All the other stuff is just some of it, I guess some of it is true. But it's really a mix of lies and truth. And the Old Testament, the reason why, because I always wondered, I was a avid Christian back when. Now I know Christians are just practicing witchcraft and they don't know it. Drinking his blood. I mean, come on. Who does that? Vampires, you know? Anyway, I was always perplexed as to why Jesus was so loving and the God that Jesus's father was so loving in the New Testament, but so horrible in the Old Testament. Well, when you look actually back at what really happened in history, and what was covered up, those were ETs that were at war for control over us, human beings. They were arguing and fighting. It was in many different gods or ETs back then, trying to push us around, make us slaves, make us do what they wanted to, and they were all fighting over us. That's what all of that in the Old Testament was all about. So, yeah, that when I heard that, I was like, God, that makes so much more sense. Because why would God be two totally different people? Like, and it also explains like all El Shaddai, all those names that they've written, the 100 names of God or whatever. Those were all different ETs in the Old Testament that were speaking on our behalf or fighting against us or whatever they were. Yeah, that's why they're all different personalities. This is they're all different beings. All right. Sorry to be the bearer of that again. Okay. Everyone is brainwashed to cover up the deceit. Yeah. Religion. Yeah. Common law, original constitution versus Admiralty law. Please watch the videos if you want to learn more about law. It's not only corrupt, it's evil, it's satanic, and they know it. The judges, all the higher ups, they all know that they're working for the devil. Now, probably new lawyers who are just freshly trained, it just probably hasn't clicked that they work for the bar, which is a British accreditation agency or registry. So they work for Britain. They're treasonous and they're working against us. So they are all trying to make money. They're all money-making scheme for sex trafficking again, and it's called Admiralty law. So never ever step foot in a courthouse. Do not ever hire a lawyer. Do not have anything to do with courts. There are ways to deal with these things administratively if you get a ticket, which is also illegal. Okay. If you do not cause harm, you have not done anything wrong. And now the original Constitution stands. And Common law is the real law. That's God's law. And it also stands as long as you handle everything administratively and do it the right way, listening to the right people. I would go back and listen to my talks with Americans in Action. I'm not endorsing anyone in particular, okay, guys? Just want to put that caveat out there. There are a lot of bad characters who are pretending to be good people in just about every organization out there. I'm not saying they're bad people either. I'm just saying, please be discerning with anybody referenced or any videos even, or any, like a lot of truthers aren't telling the truth out there either. They're cursing and putting spells on people. I'm just saying, please go back and watch Americans in Action and the videos that I've done with them, and watch those videos because it's very important information in there. Everybody needs to know what's going on in there. And there are many, many, many companies who will help you learn about common law, not just Americans in Action, many, many different ones. Those guys just happen to be ones I've done the videos with. So, yes. So go watch those videos and get a lot of information from that, okay? And if your intuition says that you can trust whoever, then trust whoever. But I just am saying, be very discerning in these days who you trust. Listen to your intuition, your gut over anything and everything. And people can disguise themselves very, very well. Okay. So, NESARA. Now, this is where we start getting to some good news. As scary and horrendous as this whole thing has been, to find out we're living in the Truman Show. And there's so much more than I'm mentioning here, you guys. I've barely even touched the surface of all the information. We have unlimited land, pretty much. Places we've never been able to venture out toward or go and see. Undiscovered lands like crazy. But the flight paths only keep us going here and there. So that's where we live, is along that flight path, or the many flight paths. Anyway, there's just so much. Antarctica, and just goes on forever. Anyway, so NESARA. NESARA is the National Economic Security and Reformation Act. So the global name for that is GESARA, which would be the Global Economic Security and Reformation Act. Okay. A lot of people have thought this was hooey. Even Frank 26 believes that it's not true. It's not going to happen. I believe it will. I believe it is happening. I think it's rolling out. And it's something that JFK wanted to happen for a really, really long time. So let me just read to you. I always tell you to go to GESARA-show.com to look for this, but I'm just going to go ahead and read it to you for those of you who are too lazy to go check out that link, okay? All right, so it does like 20, there's like 600 programs to give back to people. We're about to go into very prosperous times. Even if you're not one of the millionaires or gazillionaires that are going to be coming out, it doesn't matter. You're going to be living very comfortably. So there's not going to be any reason to steal from anybody or be jealous of anybody, because everybody will be able to afford everything out there. All the inflation is going to go away. Houses will be very affordable. Everything's going to be affordable. Now listen to this. All right. And now you'll know the reason some of this is happening, because I've explained a lot of stuff to you. All right. Number one, cancels all credit card scams, all credit cards, mortgages, and other bank debt due to illegal banking and government activities, nefarian activities. Many refer to this as a jubilee or complete forgiveness of debt. Complete forgiveness of debt. You owe no debt. And those of you who are coming into money, do not pay taxes. Why would you pay taxes? There is no income tax with GESARA, okay? GESARA number 2 abolishes income tax. The only tax you will ever have to pay is if you buy something brand new. That's it. That's the only tax. And they're probably, I don't know what they're going to be putting it toward, but damn straight it isn't going to be sex trafficking. Not with this new administration. Okay, number 3 abolishes the IRS, with employees of the IRS will be transferred into the U.S. Treasury National Sales Tax area. Okay, creates a 17%, number 4, creates a 17% flat rate, non-essential new items only sales tax revenue for the government. In other words, food and medicine will not be taxed, or gold and silver will not be taxed, which is always, it's something you could look up in the legislation currently right now. Most of our states are becoming countries of their own, and they're all abolishing tax on gold and silver, which is a really good sign that we're coming into this too, right? In other words, food and medicine will not be taxed, nor will used items such as old homes. Old homes not taxed. How nice. Property tax, hopefully that's going to be gone too. So increases, I think that's included in there. Number 5, increases benefits to senior citizens, helps them be more comfortable. Okay. 6, returns constitutional law to all courts and legal matters. Yay! Things will be fair. Okay, number 7, reinstates the original title of nobility amendment. Okay, I don't know a lot about that, but you could look that up. The title of nobility amendment. Okay, 8, establishes new presidential and congressional elections within 120 days of GESARA's announcement. The announcement of GESARA. So I believe GESARA is already rolling out, but this is the announcement of it. 120 days after that, it establishes new presidential and congressional elections. The interim government will cancel all national emergencies and return us back to constitutional law. Now, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to this or know about this either, but a lot of governments across the US have gone into a state of a national emergency right now. So they're going to cancel all those national emergencies and return us all back to constitutional law. Number 9, monitors elections and prevents illegal election activities of special interest groups. It's a nice way to put it. Okay, 10, creates a new U.S. Treasury rainbow currency backed by gold, silver, and platinum precious metals, ending the bankruptcy of the United States initiated by Franklin Roosevelt in 1933. So instead of the USD, we're going to have USTN, United States Treasury notes, that are backed by gold. 11, forbids the sale of American birth certificate records as chattel property bonds by the U.S. Department of Transportation. So there's not going to be any longer that what they've been doing to us with our birth certificates. 12, initiates new U.S. Treasury banking system in alignment with the U.S. Constitution and constitutional law. Okay, 13, a banking system, initiates new U.S. Treasury banking system. So this is leading into the quantum financial system I'll talk about next. 12, initiates new U.S. Treasury bank system. Okay, 13, eliminates the Federal Reserve System. During the transition period, the Federal Reserve will be allowed to operate side by side of the U.S. Treasury for 1 year in order to remove all Federal Reserve notes from the money supply. 14, restores financial privacy. How nice. Nobody's going to know what you've got. You're the only one who's going to have access to your account in the quantum financial system. Okay, let's see. 15, retrains all judges and attorneys in constitutional law. Yeah. Okay, 16, ceases all aggressive U.S. government military actions worldwide. Ceases all aggressive U.S. government military actions worldwide. All aggression gone. 17, establishes peace throughout the world. Peace. 18, releases unprecedented prosperity with innumerous sums of money for humanitarian purposes. 19, enables the release of over 6,000 patents of suppressed technologies that are being withheld from the public under the guise of national security, including free energy devices, anti-gravity, and sonic healing machines, also known as med beds. Med beds are coming, you guys. It's like in those sci-fi movies where you lay down in a bed and it scans you for what's wrong with you and heals it immediately. That's been suppressed from us. So many things. 20, quantum financial system, the QFS, you may have heard. The quantum voting system, the global currency reset, GCR is what the global currency reset is. That's the initials, GCR. Revaluation of currencies, also known as the RV. It's all going down right now. It's all happening. Soudani's visit, when he was just here last week, here in Texas, he actually said, he admitted to there being a currency reform right now. So this is not a scam. Banks were told, all the little employees were told, oh, it's just a scam. It's not true, of course. It's the same thing that's been going on forever. They're just conspiracy theorists, those who believe these things. Duped, duped, duped. So let's see. What's going to happen is the USB. The EBS is going to be starting a new era. There's going to be an EBS that comes out and announces all of this to the whole world, to everybody. It's going to say, do not panic, go look at your computer or look at your TV and tune into this, this, and this. And they will be running a program for hours and hours telling you all of what I've been telling you and letting you know that you're safe and that those major people are dead and all of that and what they're going to do to prevent things in the future or what we need to do as people, need to do. Okay, gold and silver about to skyrocket. Gold and silver, or silver in particular, has been suppressed for a really long time, and there's going to be a tremendous return on it because it's been so severely undervalued. Okay, a revaluation of currencies. So the BRICS nation, I don't know if you guys have heard of BRICS, BRICS. You can go read about it if you want to, but it's basically a bunch of nations coming together to establish gold-backed constitutional togetherness, and it's been said that I believe Trump has said that we are part of the BRICS nations as well. So everybody's going gold-backed and constitutional all over the whole world. Okay. And in that, there have been a lot of, just like silver's been totally suppressed for a long time, there have been a lot of, some people in some countries had to take a whole brick of currency down to go get like a bag of groceries or a box of groceries. So because their money wasn't worth anything. And they had like notes for like millions of dollars and they were just not worth a hill of beans. Well, it's all going to level up now. They're all going through this massive reset to where everybody's just almost on the same page. Like it's not going to be like it was before because the elites were using that as a way to like suppress all these countries for a while, buy all their currencies, and then they would reset it, turn it the other side around, and then make a massive profit and make millions of dollars. Now they're going to actually use that strategy for the good. They're going to give God's people that money that was used, they're going to flip it back the other way. If you look at the US debt clock, they talked about everything being turned right side up again too. So it's all becoming fair. It's all becoming just. It's all becoming, right. It's all getting righted. Okay. All right. I've talked about all of that. So what to do now? Now that you have all, all of this, well, go back and watch that video referenced in the beginning of this video. That's first and foremost. So before everybody else, you can help your friends and your family to understand what's been going on. That's another thing they've done is our grammar and punctuation are all having to do with our spelling. And the words that we've used have all been messed with by the dark side as well. So you might see signatures look like colon, your name, first name, dash, the last name, colon, space, the first middle name, and then the last name with a period on the end. You might start seeing like proper grammar. quantum grammar start happening everywhere. You might start seeing it more and more commonly. Anyway, so here's what you can do now that you have all this information, because you're going to have to support all your friends and family because you're going to be in the know. So read the Ringing Cedar series. It's a book called The Ringing Cedar. It's a series of books called The Ringing Cedars to see what we're capable of. So there's a girl, it features a girl, Anastasia, who grew up enlightened, basically, like we all should. And it's really incredible to watch her life play out and the different things that happen. But she's also predicted, because she's incredibly psychic. She's predicted that at this time that liars would go bankrupt and honest people will be millionaires. So we're going to see that start to play out here. Okay, so I would own gold, silver, and foreign currencies if you want to take advantage of this time. But do that as quickly as possible because it's all about to, explode. All right. Have a bank account with banks that are participating in the foreign currency exchange. The banks that I'm aware of, and you guys can put comments down beneath this video if you want to add to this list: Wells Fargo, Chase, Capital One, and US Bank. If you've got foreign currencies, you'll want to have an account at one of these participating banks that are going to be exchanging the foreign currencies. So you might have to call around different banks to find out which ones are going to be participating in it. And they've been silenced for a long time, said to tell, push people away and say, no, we don't do that. We don't even know about that, blah, blah, blah. And if so, either ask for a bank manager or look for a bigger bank in a bigger city and ask them if they're going to be one of the participating banks in the foreign currency exchange and have an account there. Okay. Stock up on food and water. Air generators, all that stuff that you would in an emergency if you don't have, just in case the electricity goes out or any number of things. Expect to stay present and stand your ground during a big scare to wake people up. So they've got to do something to get everybody on the same page and get everybody simultaneously to agree something has to change and it's got to change now. They have to have that. Otherwise, the ETs can't come in and help either. So everybody's got to be in agreement that something needs to change in this world for it to happen. So there's got to be some kind of big scary event that makes people feel like, what the hell are we doing? So be expecting that and stay present and stand your ground, whatever happens. Expect a stock market crash and banks to fail because they were all built on lies and deceit and all of that. Expect the quantum financial system. Many banks are already being rearranged, reconstructed, and have had new systems installed in the last few years. And if they haven't, they might be one of the banks that are going to be closing down. Med beds, of course, are going to be coming out. Many truthers are deceiving us and doing spells, as I was saying earlier. You just don't take anybody's recommendation on something. Don't just listen blindly to a channel just because. Always listen to your intuition no matter what. Because I've known a lot of people who've done black magic and spells on people who are their viewers. So just be real careful. I would recommend, but again, like I said, do your own vetting process on all of these people. But I recommend Dr. Kia Pruitt, Kia, and her last name is Pruitt, Dr. Kia Pruitt, Mark Z, the original Mark Z on YouTube, Road to Ruta, spelled Roota, Militia Man, and Frank 26. Frank's a little like over the top. All of these guys, they've got their personality, they've got their pros and their cons, their quirkiness, whatever. Just get the information from them that resonates for you, and the rest just, we really have to be discerning, and we really also have to show a lot of grace and appreciate what we can about each of these different personalities, people that we get information from, and all of this. So join Telegram and Signal would be another recommendation. Yeah, tolerance. I just got the word tolerance. We need to learn to be less judgmental and a lot more tolerant of everybody. Yeah, join Telegram and Signal. Don't believe everything you hear as a fact. Many people are lying deliberately, don't know. They're either lying deliberately, don't know more than you, but they want to look like they do, or they're just repeating what they've heard. So do your own research. Find out for yourself. Okay, use affirmations, meditation, and stay present and heal yourself physically, mentally, and in every way possible, to get back to best version of yourself you can possibly be for the times ahead. Establish a vision for our world and use your imagination to create it. So you could watch The Secret, the movie called The Secret, if you want to learn how to manifest. But meditating on, or kind of daydreaming while you're meditating on what you foresee in the future, the good stuff you want to see, is going to help it come to fruition. We don't have to leave cities. We need to bring God and nature where we are now. It will all sort itself out accordingly. Now that's Anastasia says that too. She says, don't go running for the hills and leave your house and leave everything that's in the city or whatever. You bring God to you. You bring nature to you. You establish your own garden because we have to make a difference wherever we are. And she's like, it takes a while for you to acclimate to the mountains and for them to acclimate to you. So she was really discouraging people doing that. It all comes down to angel versus demons, or good versus evil. Evil tainted all God's creations, and now God is using their system and their matrix to restore natural order. All things work together for good is a quote from the Bible, from Romans 18:28, I believe. All things work together for good. So God is using all of that we just talked about, and he's switching it all around to the good. Not to blow the end, but God or good wins. So, and again, yeah, honey. So practice letting go. That's essential in moving forward in our society. We gotta learn to let go and not hold on to things, not hold on to grudges, not hold on to ill feelings, not any of it. We gotta learn to let go and go with the flow. So, I mean, even though these are wonderful changes that are coming ahead, they're big changes, and that could be very, very stressful in itself. So, letting go is going to be something that you're going to need to cultivate on a regular basis to not stress out too much, to have, to really minimize the stress of all the changes that are coming. So, all right. And I'm here for you as long as I'm going to be. There will probably be a point where I disappear for a bit. And you're prepared for that. I've already told you about that. I make announcements on Instagram. I also will announce anything on my homepage of each of my members' homepages to keep you apprised. But for now, I am available for sessions, for remote readings, and everything else that's on my services page. I'm going to keep my services page updated. So the minute I start to disappear or pull back or change things up, then just know that it's time for the change then. So right now it is still the way that it is, but I don't know, at any moment it could all change. So just be prepared for that, and just honor my process and honor my wishes, please. And I will do what I can to continue to be here for you, however I can, in whatever capacity God calls me to be here for you. And have yourselves a beautiful week. I don't believe I'm doing the Ask Amy this week again. So, but I have been sending private messages to people who have ordered the Ask Amy questions. So I've been sending it to you privately. So that will work. And yeah, so I'll talk to you guys soon. It's going to be very, very soon a time to celebrate for everyone and really good, wonderful things to come. So do not despair at any of the crazy stuff I was talking about earlier. And please go watch that movie, that series, so that the more people who know about what's been going on, the more you can comfort your neighbors and your friends and your family and let them know that they're going to be okay. All right, talk to you later.